This is Radio Taiwan International.
Welcome to the news on Radio Taiwan International. I'm Amanda Stevens, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan. We begin with a look at today's top stories for Monday, November 24th. The Foreign Ministry says its greatest task is to de-escalate and deter war. The first death from H5N5 bird flu confirmed by the U.S. CDC. And Eswatini House Speaker and delegation arrive for exchanges in Taiwan. But first, today's top story. In response to the fallout caused by Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi's remarks over the Taiwan issue earlier this month, Deputy Foreign Minister Ambassador Francois Zizong-Wu told the legislature that the ministry's primary task was to de-escalate. He emphasized that the most important step to safeguarding Taiwan's security is to strengthen relations with allies, deter war, and jointly defend regional peace, calling it the ministry's most important responsibility. Concerning Takaichi's remarks, Wu said in a pre-meeting interview that, for national leaders, the most important thing is national security. While that is also true for Taiwan, the foreign ministry is not in a position to comment on Japan's action to safeguard its own national security. Both sides, however, share the goal of reducing conflict. Wu pointed to Taiwan's growing pool of friends in Europe, saying that their help was crucial to deter the outbreak of war, which requires cooperation across all aspects. A foreign ministry report pointed out Japan's continued use of strategic ambiguity on what would constitute either a Taiwan emergency or existential crisis. In practice, such a thing would be multi-staged, involving a wide range of scenarios, and the Japanese response would be influenced by many factors, including political judgment, the U.S. stance, and domestic public opinion. Therefore, the ministry said Takaichi's remarks cannot be directly interpreted as Japan will defend Taiwan. A National Security Bureau report also pointed out that the new Takaichi cabinet is strengthening security capabilities, focusing on cooperation with the United States. The U.S.-Japan alliance serves as an axis, with increasing coordinated operations with international and regional allies and strengthened deterrence capabilities on the whole. The United States has reported the world's first death from H5N5 avian influenza. Washington State Department of Health officials confirmed that on Friday, November 21st, a Grays Harbor County resident passed away after contracting the virus. Taiwan Health Minister Shi Chongliang responded that, according to the U.S. CDC assessment, H5N5 transmission is currently limited to those with exposure to birds, with a low risk of passing human to human. The Washington State officials said that the victim was elderly and had pre-existing medical conditions. They also reported that the deceased maintained domestic birds in their backyard, which they suspect was the likely source of infection, as birds shed the virus in their saliva, mucus, and feces. However, this has not yet been confirmed, and authorities are tracing other possible points of exposure and monitoring close contacts. Health Minister Shi said,
This
is a new variant of the virus, and according to U.S. CDC investigations and evaluations, there is no risk of human-to-human transmission. The organization remains focused on avian-to-human transmission. The U.S. CDC will continue to closely monitor and report subsequent developments. However, since it is now the winter migratory bird season, we urge the public to avoid contact with birds when traveling.
Taiwan CDC spokesperson Zheng Zhihui assured that they will also continue to monitor for other risks. She said that due to another novel influenza A case that appeared in Washington, D.C. in April of this year, they raised the travel advisory level for Washington, D.C. to level 1 caution, where it remains. The CDC will raise the travel advisory level further if necessary, depending on developments. Novel influenza A viruses are declared when a type of flu can infect humans, but is different from seasonal strains like H1N1 and H3N2 that circulate each year. These viruses are often of avian or swine origin and can cause a range of illnesses from mild to severe, including pneumonia and respiratory distress. They pose a public health concern due to their potential to cause a pandemic if they gain the ability to spread easily from person to person. Eswatini House of Assembly Speaker Jabulani Mabuza has arrived in Taiwan with a delegation and will be staying until November 27th. In his remarks at the airport, Mabuza stated that visiting Taiwan felt like returning home, and he deeply appreciated previous interactions and exchanges that are a crucial cornerstone of the bilateral partnership. Mabuza also thanked President Lai Ching-te for his continued support of Eswatini's economic growth since taking office, and conveyed warm greetings from King Maswati III, Queen Mother Ntomi Twafala, and the people of Eswatini. Deputy Foreign Minister Ambassador Francois Zizongwu greeted the delegation at the airport and expressed his sincere welcome. The ministry pointed out that Mabuza's visit adds a new chapter to high-level cooperation between Taiwan and Eswatini. It underscored that although the two countries are geographically distant, they share a commitment to democracy, economic development, and the well-being of their people. According to the Foreign Ministry, Mabuza will meet with President Lai, Legislative Speaker Han Kuo-yu, and Foreign Minister Lin Jialong. He will also visit the Economic Ministry, the International Cooperation and Development Fund, and tour the CPC Corporation's Taoyuan refinery to further understand Taiwan's political and economic development and deepen high-level bilateral exchanges. The Foreign Ministry said that since the establishment of diplomatic relations between Taiwan and Eswatini 57 years ago, the two countries have maintained close, friendly relations and built a solid foundation for cooperation. It underscored that it will continue to uphold a comprehensive foreign policy, deepen exchanges with Eswatini in various fields, and jointly promote sustainable development, regional stability, and prosperity. French President Emmanuel Macron praised Taiwan's experience combating disinformation, calling it worthy of emulation by the French system. On Saturday, Taiwan's foreign ministry thanked Macron for his words, noting how disinformation and foreign interference are increasingly important global issues for democratic countries around the world. The French president's words came as he hosted a debate last Saturday in northern France on democracy being tested by social media and algorithms. There, the president praised Taiwan's disinformation-fighting system as a democratic country next to a hostile, non-democratic neighbor. He noted Taiwan's abilities in facing down massive disinformation attacks from China, saying the system is worthy of copying in France. The foreign ministry emphasized that Taiwan is willing to continue strengthening cooperation with like-minded partners, such as France, on many subjects, including responding to information manipulation. Taiwan has long faced the threat of information warfare from expansionist authoritarian powers, and so has gradually built socially resilient and transparent response systems. Accumulated experience can be shared with friends to jointly enhance broader democratic resilience, combat disinformation, and safeguard freedom, democratic values, and rules-based international order. The three suspects in connection with the internal attack of Radio Taiwan International, or RTI's, website in September were formally indicted by the Taipei District Prosecutor's Office on Monday, November 24th. To safeguard its reputation and avoid misunderstandings, RTI is issuing the following statement. 1. The incident was discovered, investigated, and reported on by RTI. On September 11, 2025, RTI discovered that its official website had been hacked by an anonymous user who replaced the homepage banner photo. Evidence of the illegal activity was immediately submitted to the Taipei City Police Department and the Justice Ministry's Investigation Bureau for further investigation. On November 24th, the Taipei District Prosecutor's Office announced the conclusion of the investigation. It was determined that this was a malicious criminal act of internal sabotage, orchestrated by an unscrupulous employee of this station in collusion with an external vendor, completely unrelated to whistleblowing, as claimed. The relevant suspects have been indicted and are facing prosecution. This station expresses its deepest gratitude to the Taipei District Prosecutor's Office and the Taipei City Police Department for their swift and proactive investigation, as well as to the government's national security agencies, the Ministry of Cybersecurity, and private organizations for their concerted efforts in quickly preventing this incident of sabotage against national security and bringing the truth to light. 2. Our station is deeply saddened and regretful that employees were involved in this case. Former RTA engineer Wu Zhengshun has been dismissed for serious violation of policy, and former section chief Ye Zhaozhi has been given a major demerit for inadequate supervision and failure to report the incident. However, regarding the facts of the crime as stated in the indictment, our station will pursue further accountability. Regarding the damage to our station's reputation and property caused by this act of sabotage, our station has compiled a damage estimate and will seek civil damages without leniency. 3. This case involves internal sabotage carried out by employees in collusion with outsiders, not a cybersecurity incident involving hacking. It is not something that can be misled or distorted under the guise of whistleblowing or exposing wrongdoing. Our station will also continue to investigate whether there was any instigation by external forces. However, this case also serves to correct our mistakes. Our station will conduct a thorough review of this case, improve relevant management measures, and strengthen internal controls and supervision. In the future, our station will strengthen risk assessment and internal management regarding personnel recruitment, based on the nature of the job and the candidate's competence and suitability. Especially for access permissions involving sensitive cybersecurity operations, we will adopt a tiered authorization and dual authentication principle, conduct regular audits, increase training, and cultivate risk awareness. We hope that through personnel security management and cybersecurity regulations, we can comprehensively enhance the defense resilience of the nation's critical infrastructure. Thanks for joining me for the news. I'm Amanda Stevens. Stay tuned for another 50 minutes of English language features, brought to you by Radio Taiwan International.